Okay. I don't really know how to start these videos because I haven't done a whole lot of them, but usually people just keep rambling until they finally get to what they want to talk about, and that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Um, I can't really sleep tonight. It's about almost 2 o'clock, and it's kind of ends up being that way a lot of times because late at night I can't sleep because I'm just thinking about random stuff. Um, actually, topic I was doing some research on recently was called metacognition, and basically it's like thinking about thinking, um, which is kind of stupid for me to look up something like that if I'm trying to stop thinking. Um, but yeah, it just makes you think a whole lot. Uh, so that's why I'm talking to a piece of plastic on my monitor as a comment I got recently. Well, not recently, but I'm an INTP, and that's kind of the basis I'm going off of my videos and getting people to have similar thought patterns as myself to kind of like analyze what I'm saying and maybe help me understand myself and maybe help them understand themselves by watching my videos as well. Um, so recently I've kind of changed a lot of my beliefs about pretty much everything, um, religious wise, and it's kind of like I don't want to just come out and straight say it, but um, I'm also not embarrassed about it because I've come to these conclusions from a lot of thinking and a lot of looking and watching lots of videos, and the subject is whether or not God exists. And I read a book. It's called "God Is Not Great" by Christopher Hitchens, and I've and that really just pushed me over the edge as far as um, not that there was an edge. It wasn't really just like I fell off the edge of disbelief, but it was more like I came to the conclusion over a long period of time. Like I had had doubts since I was, a kid growing up in church, and I didn't really understand why certain people felt God or why um, only certain people were allowed to talk for God or why God was so supposedly personal, yet he was very selective about who he was personal with. Even though you could have an honest heart and you could have honest intentions and you could really want to understand God and make those honest pleas to God for him to speak to you, yet he, for some reason, chose not to speak to you or chose to reveal himself and make himself understandable to others and not yourself. And that was one of the biggest problems I had with belief in God was um, the whole personal aspect of him wasn't consistent, and it's like I was accepting this kind of non-answer from the church, which was like, "Oh, God's mysterious," It's just like that's the answer to every God question. It's like, "Oh, well, God's ways are greater than ours. We'll never understand God. You're being arrogant and foolish to think that you can understand God." And it's like, I don't want to. I don't expect to understand God completely. Like, obviously, I don't even expect to understand myself completely, and I can't understand my friends completely, but I still have a basic understanding of like their mannerisms, the way they look at the world, um, how they interact with other people. Like I know how to interact with them based on experience, yet I don't know how to interact with God based on experience. I'm only told how to interact with God. So if God's so real, then why am I having such a problem interacting with someone who won't interact back with me and show me how to talk to him? It's like everything I'm supposed to read everything in the Bible is supposed to tell me how to do this. But if God's personal, why does it matter if He wrote the Bible? Why can't you just talk to me? And this is kind of a way I learned to describe it. Is um, basically the way I look at the Bible is it's a Hallmark card. It's a giant, big Hallmark card, and supposedly God wrote this Hallmark card to everybody. And it's like it's supposed to be personal, like message to you from God, but it's a big book, and everyone reads the same one. It's like it's like if you got a letter from your dad and it said, hey son, I love you. I'm really proud of you. This is what you need to do to live a good life. This is the best advice I have for you, and this is what I expect of you. And he wrote all these things down in a card, or a letter, I mean, and sent it to you and your brothers and sisters. They all got the same one, and and this was written from a father who actually wasn't even there when you were growing up, and he he never showed up for holidays. He never came to pat you on the back to say, "Hey, I'm proud of you," and he was invisible. It's like, uh, how much harder can you make it for me to believe in you? I mean, I've prayed to you several times. I've said, I might pray the prayer, God, give me wisdom, understanding. It even says to ask for wisdom and understanding. I did that a lot, every day for like 2 years, um, and I still do it. You know, just for the heck of it. I mean, I figure even if I'm wasting my thought or prayer or whatever, at least I know that I haven't completely given up something that I know my family holds dear to them. So I don't know. I just feel like God's such an important issue, and we're supposed to seek Him out. Like that's how I was raised as a kid. Like you're supposed to find God and like search and you will find. Well, I've searched, and yeah, I've searched really secular views, and um, I've watched probably 1,000. Well, I don't want to go there, but probably a probably at least a couple hundred debates, like God debates and evolution debates, and um, I watched lots of stuff on YouTube. Um, and I know it's not like I'm not some sort of biblical scholar or something, but should I really have to be a biblical scholar to believe in God? I mean, is God really going to make it this hard for me? And it's like, why did He give me this kind of personality type that uh, has to analyze everything and has to understand the world in a logical sense, in a logical manner? Um, it's like God knew I would end up being this way, so why is He allowing me to not believe in Him? It's just completely silly. It's like I ask really simple requests of God. I say, reveal yourself to me in a way that I'll understand you. That was my main question, like to God, and I've been praying it over and over every week at least. And people ask me, what would it take for you to believe? Well, I'm pretty sure if there was a God, then He would know that answer. He would know the answer to that question. He knows what it takes for me to believe, but why hasn't He done it? Because I don't have faith. It's like, why in any other aspect of your life, um, you don't have to have faith to about anything else except for religion, because it's like you don't trust people because of blind faith or because you're expected to. You trust people because they've demonstrated to be trustworthy, and they've demonstrated to actually exist. I mean, I can hug somebody, I can have a conversation with them, I can sense them through my ears um, and through sight and hearing and all my senses, and I have reason to trust and believe in that thing. Yet, the one thing that I can't sense or see or hear or perceive with my five senses or, is God. And yet He's the one thing that we have to trust without any of those things. It's just the most completely absurd thing to have to believe in something that I see no physical evidence for. And I have no reason to believe there is something outside of the physical, because this is all I experience. So, anyways, I got some frustration out, and I'm running out of time. But thanks for listening if you were listening, and maybe somebody out there will respond. Well, good night. I'm going to try to get some sleep.